It begins years before the present in another dying town, inside the ruins of a collapsing barn. Flashlights flicker through the dark, catching glimpses of a creature thrashing in a makeshift cage, a half-human, half-wolf body with blood on its muzzle and its spine pushing out through torn skin. 3 hunters surround it, armed with silver and tranquilizers. Among them is a younger Caleb Ward, his jaw tight, his eyes sharp. The others panic as the creature breaks free of its restraints. Someone shouts that the bond snapped, the link that kept this vessel stable has collapsed. And in the chaos, Caleb watches the beast turn its head toward him, revealing for a split second the unmistakable flicker of a human face beneath the horror. It lunges. Bone and steel twist. A hunter dies screaming. Caleb grabs a silver-loaded gun and fires once, killing the creature instantly. When it falls, its body contracts, revealing the broken shape of a young woman. Caleb stares at her and knows this is the truth of their work. Vessels that fail aren't guardians, they're doorways. And the only answer in his mind is to destroy them before they destroy others. It's the promise he carries from that night forward. In the present, Caleb sits alone in his motel room, reporting to a faceless handler through a scrambled connection. He explains what Pine Ridge has hidden, an ancient pact binding a predatory entity to a single bloodline, the Vales. Aaron Vale, the current vessel, is something unprecedented. He hasn't surrendered to the creature. He's resisting it, negotiating with it. To Caleb, that makes him more dangerous than any feral vessel he's seen. When asked for his recommendation, he doesn't hesitate, terminate the vessel, kill Aaron, break the local circle that keeps the pact alive, then attempt a cleaner rebinding. His authorization is granted. Meanwhile, the sheriff's station fills with quiet dread, wordless glances, nervous radios. A faint pencil mark on the wall calendar reminding them what's coming. The full moon. Sheriff Rowe, Dr. Hart, and Mara debate their options, none of them good. They can't let Aaron roam free. They can't let the forest choose victims for him. They can't simply barricade him without risking a catastrophic backlash. They settle on a compromise, lock him in a reinforced cell, but give him something more than steel to anchor himself to. Something ritualistic, painful, and grounding. Something Silas once used to hold on to himself in the forest's grip. At the edge of the woods, Mara finds Silas and Ivy and asks for their help. Silas warns her the moon ahead is a dangerous one. He agrees to carve the anchoring mark into Aaron's skin, but only if Aaron consents. Pain is part of the process. Identity is part of the ritual. And the mark's purpose is simple, to remind the creature that the body it lives in already belongs to someone else. Aaron agrees, despite the fear tightening inside him. As the sun sets, the forest glows with a hungry pulse. Silas heats the iron sigil until it shines, then presses it against Aaron's forearm. The agony is immediate and immense. For a heartbeat, the forest itself seems insulted by the act. But when the brand sinks through Aaron's skin and into something deeper, he feels the mark anchor him. It hurts, it scars, but it gives him a boundary inside himself he's never had. Night falls. They bring him to the station cellar, a reinforced concrete bunker disguised as a holding area. Hart attaches monitors to his chest, tracking vitals no longer fully human. Rowe locks the steel gate with a grim apology in his eyes. Mara stays closest, promising not to leave him, and then the moon rises. The change hits Aaron instantly, not like a slow transformation, but like a tidal wave cracking through bone. His spine arches, his ribs grind. His nails blacken and lengthen. The brand burns brighter than the moonlight outside. His body funnels itself into a shape half man, half wolf, half something else entirely. He holds on as long as he can. The brand gives him a point of resistance, a rope to pull against, but the forest pushes harder. Then something goes wrong. Aaron's back slams against the bars. The skin splits. Vertebrae push outward, sliding through metal like wet bone branches. His spine forces itself out of his own body, reaching beyond the cage. And from the extruded bone outside the cell, a second creature begins to form, ribs knitting, jaws shaping, muscles growing like clay manipulated by invisible hands. The entity is birthing a second body, using Aaron as the conduit. Hart shouts that it's bifurcating him, splitting vessel and monster into two forms. Roe fires at the creature outside the bars, bullets shredding limb and sap-soaked flesh, but the thing keeps reforming. Mara screams Aaron's name as he writhes inside the cage, pinned between forms, half of him inside, half of him being stolen away. Across town, at the forest's boundary, the ancient entity presses against its invisible prison. An antler pierces through the shimmering limit for the first time in decades, searing the ground black wherever it touches. Caleb watches from afar, weapon ready. When he hears the police radio crackle with chaos, when he hears that Aaron is splitting, he fires a single silver round, not at the creature, but at one of the bleeding boundary trees. The explosion shakes the entire forest. The tether between Aaron and the entity snaps and whiplashes through him. The half-formed creature outside the cell glitches, falters, and collapses inward as if dragged by unseen hands. It folds violently back into Aaron, who trembles and contracts, becoming one shape again. A coherent, monstrous whole curled on the cell floor, panting in the aftermath of impossible strain. In the forest, the entity recoils, losing the fragment of antler it had pushed into the world. The severed piece thrashes on the ground like a living creature before going still. Caleb retrieves a sample, triumphant. If it bleeds, he thinks it can be forced to suffer. And Aaron is the key. Back in the station, Aaron slowly becomes aware again, still monstrous but whole. Hart studies the branded sigil, charred but still glowing faintly. Mara kneels by the bars, exhausted but relieved. Roe holsters his weapon, shaken by how close the creature came to escaping through Aaron. They all know the boundary barely held. Across town, Reverend Klein trembles beneath the spreading marks of the forest on his own flesh, pleading for strength or punishment, whichever comes first. In the woods, Ivy and Silas struggle to steady themselves, both shaken by the psychic pressure of the moonlit surge. And in the final hours before dawn, Caleb sits alone with the vial of antler flesh twitching on his motel table. He studies Aaron's surveillance photo taped to the wall beside it. The dawn light warps their shadows, making Aaron appear crowned with antlers. Caleb whispers his conclusion with grim certainty. Aaron Vale is either going to lock the entity back into its cage or open the door wide. Either way, the end revolves around him. And as the sun rises, the hunter's moon sets, but its damage, its warnings, and its consequences remain carved into the world. It wasn't trying to escape before. It was learning, testing the edges. And tonight, it found a way through. Not fully, but enough to understand that the door can open.